Okay, so let me tell y'all something. Throughout the whole couple of weeks and just seeing this gorgeous hunter, oh my gosh, this match cracked me up. I decided to practice this female dancer, and then I saw this beautiful hunter. I was like, oh, this gonna be a challenge. I was hoping that the person playing them would be top tier, and they were. Don't get me wrong, they were. But I feel like they weren't used to playing as this hunter because they were literally looking around for a good couple of minutes. And then I found out that this ghost can go through windows, so I'm just like, I don't know how I ended up sensing that the hunter was nearby. I think it was because it was the screen. The screen ended up giving it away, and I also just felt uneasy. Usually when I'm in that area, the hunter is always nearby, so I get paranoid. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about some stuff. One of them being it's mainly about some hunters that are literally based off of people in real life. For example, one of them being Jack. I'm gonna need people to stop defending Jack, especially when this man's is literally a real life person who has harmed women. And all those women who got harmed were deemed as, workers, like people who did corner work, which is, I don't want to say the word because, YouTube will, get me in trouble, but y'all know what I mean. And I know what everybody's gonna say, but weren't they? No, they weren't. That's just what people deemed them. They were actually women who were poor and women who were sickly. That's literally what it was. Each woman who got murdered by Jack the Ripper himself, they were all poor. They weren't a prostitute. They weren't any of those things. They were literally, some of them were, one of them, Martha, who literally, that Netase did a character day on, they literally did a character day on the day of her death, which was literally March 6th, the day of her death. And it's kind of ironic that that happened because while this is going on, I'm just sitting here wondering, why would you guys have a hunter that's based off an actual person? And then I see that that there's another hunter who's based off of something in real life, Wax Artist. He's based off of a literal sculpting mechanism that was actually super racist back then. It was basically where they would sculpt people's faces, and whenever they sculpt a black person's face, they would use that for court cases, which was super inaccurate and ended up getting innocent people in jail, specifically black people or just any person of color. Basically, it's mainly black people though, because of our facial structure and the way our face looks. My point is that when talking about this, I don't mean to be nagging you guys saying, oh, don't play Jack. Y'all can do whatever y'all want. Just don't be defending his behavior and then being weird about it. I've seen people defend Jack whenever people said they didn't like him, which I find mighty odd. Y'all should not be doing that. And I've mainly seen that on TikTok. You don't really see that anywhere else. I've seen people say that his costume is hot. That's literally it. And that's on YouTube and Instagram. But on TikTok, I'm seeing that and I'm just no, TikTok, no. I should call that IDV TikTok. No, IDV TikTok, not cool. And all the while I'm talking about this, I also want to mention that that Jack the Ripper did he did not have any of that he didn't have DID. That's what I mean to say. Because Netase made it seem like he had dissociative I don't know what the word is. Hold the phone. I will look it up and say it properly. Jack in this version of him, I guess, that Netase made up, has dissociative identity disorder, which is terrible representation. If you guys are gonna do, this is to everybody, if y'all are gonna make up a character who has this disorder, do research, because this is a stereotype that has been made up by the media when it came to people with this disorder. They have made it seem like that his once skin, who was the good child in this situation, like the good Jack, was like the good one, while the one that we have now, the original, was the bad one. And basically the disorder caused the good one and his once skin to like lose control of the Jack we have now, who has harmed and killed so many women, which isn't okay. And I say it's not okay because that's really just a bad representation and a huge stereotype towards this community and that group of people, that you should not ever, like, I can't say like you shouldn't ever like represent them, but I'm saying like don't represent them in a way that's literally based on a stereotype. Do extensive research on any form of disorders or disabilities or mental illnesses for that matter, like depression. We know how depression is, but it's super uncommon based on like, I'm not saying that illness is uncommon. I'm saying that the way it's dealt with is uncommon. Like there are so many different forms of depression that like people tend to like take it in a way that like that's kind of romanticized, is what I'm trying to say. Like people tend to romanticize it or just make it seem like it's something cool to have, like this one trend that people made called rotting in bed. The rotting trend, that's not a trend. That's literally something based on depression, and it's bad. It's excuse me. It's not something to like glorify. That's what I wanted to say. I don't think anybody should glorify this type of stuff that goes on in people's heads. And this is coming from somebody who has depression and who also has anxiety and social anxiety. And I tend to be a control freak. It's not something that I'm proud of, and I'm also like working to like help heal, I guess. You can't really heal something that can't be fixed. It's like, there's a quote about this. If you do what Jack did, which was he ended up killing a bunch of women, it's easy to do, but to like bring them back to life or hurting them in general, just hurting anybody. Let's say what happened with Emil? They were trying to fix somebody who cannot be fixed. He was abused and literally gambled off into a fighting ring by his own father. It just wasn't good, and they tried to fix him. Same with Ada. She tries to like help him heal, but it's hard and it takes time, and even she recognizes that and is patient with him. The asylum that he was in was not patient with him. They tried to force it. They tried to cure something that can't be cured. And Emil ended up having ammonia. He ended up having PTSD. And that was really it. That's all he had. He had ammonia, PTSD, and he also had a form of amnesia, because he couldn't remember his past. It took Ada literally being patient and gentle with him for him to slowly remember, but then he started to relapse, which is a form of PTSD. It happens. And my point is that when it comes to like doing research on mental health and all that, you gotta do extensive research. Otherwise, the story you have for a character is gonna come crashing down, and it's gonna look like a slap in the face to other people. Also, like when I talk about this, I don't mean to like bash players who like Jack, cause shoot, I even liked Jack at first, but that was because like I wasn't thinking about the actual Ripper. I was whole thinking that like this was a whole character that they were basing him off of, and they were gonna like make it seem like he was gonna get brought to justice. But no, instead he has a whole identity disorder that's literally based off of a stereotype version of it, and that's not okay. You can't, y'all gotta hear me out when I say this, but this stuff is like really damaging to other communities. That's why I say that whenever Netase tries to represent other communities that's like filled with other people of color, I mean it when I say that they gotta do extensive research on that said community, because if they just based them off of stereotypes, it will lead to harmful outlooks on that said community, and that's not okay. And this is coming from a game company that represents their own community and their own culture beautifully. And don't get me wrong, I want everybody to enjoy the game as much as I do. I want everybody to enjoy this game, because this game is literally fun to play, and it's amazing. But we gotta scold the devs at some point. That's why I'm gonna also add their email in the description, because that one skin they made for Kevin, not okay. To whitewash a character who literally has melanin in his original costume, not cool. That's not okay. And this is crazy, because like every time they do that leads people like artists to literally draw their characters like that. It's not okay, because the characters could literally originally be like brown, black, tan, anything, like anything that's melanin, any melanin that's on them. That's literally what could happen to them. They could get whitewashed, and that's not something we want, especially for characters who, especially with a company that's literally representing characters, but they're also doing it in a poorly tasting manner. I don't want to see a black lady with a monkey skull and she gets called the Enchantress. That's literally two things that are based off, that like are combined with stereotypes. Cause keep in mind, she's Haitian, and you know what they do, you know how it is. For one, she's an enchantress. There's always things when it comes to like African women in games like that involve having like powers occasionally. I don't know what it is, but they always either make these women a witch doctor, but they represent it, I can't say super well, because that's not usually the case. They either represent it well or they don't represent it well at all. You can tell with the way that Netase did Enchantress, they did not represent her well at all. And I think they can do better. I real talk think Netase can do better. Y'all can do better than that. And this is coming from somebody who literally is trying to study the Hanfu, and it's a beautiful dress that's made by Chinese culture, and it was actually the outfit that inspired the kimono in Japan. And I can't say inspired, it's more likely they copied, so pardon me for saying that. Not inspired, but copied, because with the slight quarrel that goes on between Japan and China, I will not speak further on that because I do not want to disrespect anybody. But just know that the Hanfu came first before the kimono. That's all I'm gonna say, because respectfully, I respect this culture, and I believe that this culture that Netase is from, which is a Chinese company that's in China, obviously, should represent their people the way they need to. Like, go on, go wild, represent your people, represent your culture, go ham with that. Just y'all gotta represent, y'all gotta like represent other cultures respectfully too. Y'all can't just disrespect other cultures and all the while there's your culture, and it's like, it's not me trying to say like, oh, you can't just represent your culture and not represent other cultures properly. I'm saying that like, don't stereotype other cultures all the while you're representing yours, because at this point it's just like, don't add any other culture, then just represent your culture and leave other cultures alone. But at the same time, if they want to represent other cultures, I say do it respectfully. That's all I'm gonna say. I feel like people should be allowed to explore other people's cultures and appreciate them, while all the while of not appropriating them. That's what I think Netase needs to work on. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling, because I was gonna ramble about the costumes that came back, but like at the same time I was gonna make a joke, because I literally have Tonight or Never's like accessory, because I really wanted that accessory for the longest time, and it's very pretty. So like while this video continues on, I hope you guys enjoyed the rest, and we need to talk about this new anniversary event, because I'm feeling it, but I'm not feeling the essence. I'm mainly just feeling Doctor and Homegirl, Soul Weaver. I don't really care for Mercenary. I'm probably gonna get Doctor's A tier. It's mainly all I'm gonna get. And then I saw what's his name? I saw Composer's S tier. I was looking at that and I was like, I kind of want it, but I don't have enough fragments, so oop. And work is kicking my butt, so once I make it to like a lot of cash, I'll probably buy it when I make like 10K. Anyways, I hope y'all have a nice day. I will see y'all later, and I love y'all. Bye, Whittles. Make sure to email Netase when y'all get the chance about Kevin's Logic Path skin, because that skin looks horrible. I'm gonna be straight up honest. Give him his melanin. The melanin needs to be there. Otherwise, he looks terrible. I love the guy, but he looks terrible. Nobody wants to see him whitewashed. Not even me. Y'all have a nice day. Good night. Sleep tight. And peace. I will see y'all later, Whittles.